Welcome to Leap into Livestream. My name is Dawn Choubet, and if you are a small business owner or a talent, a brand ambassador who wants to get into the world of live commerce and learn all there is to know so that you can succeed, you are in the right place. My job is to help you leap into Livestream. First things first, please subscribe to this podcast and this channel so that I can continue to produce more engaging content, educational content with incredible experts. Angie, I don't know that there's anyone else that works in the live shopping space that represents more beauty products simultaneously than you. And you've been representing brands on air for years.
Oh my goodness, so many years, I almost lost count. No, like over 20 years, I have been blessed to be able to do what I love so much. And it's had quite the evolution over the time. My main objective has really kind of always been the same, and it's just something I'm so passionate about. And that truly is just helping people feel their very best about themselves, confidence building, really just giving people the tools and maybe a little tips and tricks along the way of just things that they can do. Not only that they can do, but that they can do affordably. Even I was one of those people that would look at beauty products or treatments or devices and go, okay, that would be great, if I had an extra $6,000 laying around, but I don't. And so I kind of felt like, I was one of those people that was missing out. So I look at that as well. There's a lot of aspects that I look at, but yeah, I'm just always been really passionate about helping people feel good.
I
So
know you from TSC and TV Home Shopping, where you've represented the Silken brand, but I know in the States you represent Revlon, you represent Wet Brush, and I mean, I'm sure a multitude more. You've worked with hundreds of brands. Tell us about how you got involved with this whole category of beauty.
yeah, absolutely. Well, interestingly enough, I've always really been passionate about it, but I didn't necessarily work in it. I would say I probably was more mainstream, just sales in general. I've worn so many hats, Dawn. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. From the very beginning, I mean, selling things such as I worked in retail and clothing. I was a travel agent. I sold travel. I just always found things that I liked and that I enjoyed myself. And I think that that's really the key for everybody out there who's even considering getting into, this platform of selling. Is really just finding what they're passionate about and going into that niche, because that's where you're going to get the excitement. That's where you're going to get the enthusiasm because you love it yourself. So, as a salesperson in the beginning, I could really pretty much kind of go into selling many different things. At one point, I even sold cosmetic dentistry, believe it or not. And then I just got really interested in the whole kind of aspect of television shopping. And, even as a kid, like having my mom watching television shopping. And I was approached by a woman who visited the dental salon that I worked at. I call it a salon because it was all cosmetic only. And she said, I think you'd be great on TV. And I was like, okay. At the time, there were no openings, but it was actually a detour that set me up for success, because what ended up happening was I went to work for HSN, and only thing that was open was all behind the scenes. So I really got to learn my industry, and I would recommend that for everybody. It's funny. I have 3 kids. I tell them this all the time. Like, just know your business through and through. You can never learn enough, right? So being able to work behind the camera. At one point, I was microphoning all the celebrities. At another point, I was just working strictly with the guest and arranging their travel coming into the network, and so many things. But all of those things taught me so much and gave me so much respect for the people that I work with moving forward from there. And then, of course, from there, stepping into the platform of going on camera. And so, yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, I love that story because it's not unlike why I appreciate all the different experiences I had working not only at the shopping channel in Canada, TSC, but also in general broadcast. I mean, I fell into the TV business, and over the course of, now 25 years, you develop skills, you know, based on what your actual job is, but then you also learn a lot from the people you work
Oh,
with. And
yes.
so, as a result of working with some of the greatest camera people, I learned how to shoot right now. And cameras, of course, now they're so simple, other than a typical ENG camera, which is like as big as his bookshelf. I learned how to edit. And now I feel like I've got this self-sustaining level of experience that goes beyond what I always like to call the hair and teeth, and I think there's a lot more
Yes.
respect as well that you get from the crew when you as the front-facing talent, the one that usually gets all the glory, let's face it, for how difficult it is and how much skill is involved in presenting a product. There's just so much that goes into it. And from an on air presenting standpoint, let's talk a little bit about sales because you are a salesperson first, as most people that work in TV home shopping are. We're just happen to be camera confident. Um, I often think that one area of the sales formula that people forget about in typical sales is that permission to buy. And in TV home shopping, in live stream shopping, offering the consumer the permission is even more critical when you can't deal with the anticipated objections that might be verbalized or through body language when you're face to face.
1000%. Yes, absolutely. And I feel like the majority of that falls on truly just the problem solving that you create. As the salesperson. I mean, most of us on some level of relatability, have a lot of the same issues. Maybe, we want our lips to be fuller, maybe we want less wrinkles, maybe we want more hair, maybe we want, just better overall skin glow, whatever it may be. There's so many people out there that are struggling in the same way. So I think really important for me when I'm on air and I'm promoting product and I'm really talking through that camera lens. I know there's millions of people out there watching. It's not like someone standing right in front of you, but I always think about that. I always think about really truly just getting into the mind of the consumer because they are just like me and you, and they want to know right, pretty much right away, like, okay, well, what is this going to solve for me? Well, how is this going to help me? And I think that's just really important to never forget that, no matter what products you're, so-called like pitching or whatever you're representing, whether it's electronics or whether it's beauty or whether it's, fitness, whatever it may be. Um, I just think that's just such an important part of it. And that's kind of where I always place myself is in the mind of the person on the other side of the camera.
You have to really identify the customer motivation, and a very easy way to do that, as I explain to my students and through my course, is to imagine there's like a little birdie in there or somebody whispering in your ear going, "Why? Why do I need this? Why do I care? What's it going to do to make my life better, more joyful, to save me money, to save me time?" And you really have to be able to, I think, Angie, ask those questions before you ever say a word on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And a really big part of it too, I think for myself, is really just in product selection. And I think a lot of it falls in that a lot of people don't realize, someone like myself, who is an on-air guest and represents so many different brands, they may look at it sometimes and go, "Oh, well, she's just, pitching this or selling this." A lot of people don't realize that we actually get to choose. So I turn down a lot, Dawn, as much as I actually represent, I turn down a lot. And the reason being, sometimes people think I'm crazy. They're like, what do you mean you could, maybe be making way more money, or you could be getting way more exposure or doing those things. But you know what? At the end of the day, if it's not something that I love, that I use, that I believe in, that I know that works, and that I would actually suggest or, tell my own mother or my best friend about, um, I'm not doing it. And it really is simple as that. And I think that, that's a really big takeaway, probably for many of your students as well, is like, you really just got to find the things that you truly love because the rest will come naturally in the sense of, Your passion is going to come through. Your genuinity is going to come through. The customer watching that TV or on the other end of that computer or that iPhone is going to feel it. They're going to feel what you are talking about in a way that if I was just, to pick up these earbuds and be trying to sell them to you, you're going to know within a second that I really, yeah, I love earbuds, but like I really don't know much about them. And I'm not passionate about them. I could care less if they're one brand or the other. Um, so I think really just staying true to yourself and choosing the products, or if you love fashion, go for fashion. You can mingle. I mean, not everybody's a one-sided, person. We have multi things. I love fashion. I love beauty. I love home decor. I love a lot of different things. But what's the one thing that really, really kind of drives you? And that's what I would really shoot for.
And I think because there is so much research that goes into presenting a product that it just rolls off the tongue because you know it inside and out and backwards and forwards and flipped over and the whole thing. And the only way that you can do that without losing your mind is by really being interested in it. Right. I remember I took a wine course. It was like my W set level one. And I got 100% on that test. I got a
I would get 100% on
100%.
that as well.
I never got 100% in my life. I mean, I barely graduated from high school. So when you care about what you're presenting, when you legitimately and authentically use and want to scream from the rafters how great this product is, you can't help but bring that infectious um, vibe through the screen. And Angie, I think that that really encompasses who I know you are and who I believe you to be, because having worked with you, there is nobody that I've seen, I'm sure, that is as passionate about like I'm talking maybe Mally, who has Beyonce's old makeup
Yes,
artist and created her
yes.
own makeup line. But there's not really too many other people that are enthusiastic in a real and genuine way, and the opposite would be in a way that would come across as forced. You're not forced. I can tell you're legitimately excited when you bring products to air.
I know sometimes probably a little overly excited, right? That's really the thing. It's funny. A lot of people will say, kind of that cliche of like, oh, well, you either have it or you don't. I mean, maybe to some extent, but I think we all have it. I think we just have to find what it is that really drives us. I just genuinely feel so good about making other people feel good about themselves because I mean, if you feel great about yourself, you're going to step out each and every day. And I don't care if it's, just being home with your family, if it's on your workforce, if it's whatever it may be, projects, if you're trying to get a promotion, if it's the dating scene, whatever it is, you just feel differently about yourself. You're going to perform differently. And so, there's so many levels to that. I mean, it could be just a great lipstick for you. It could be a great new outfit. It could be, getting your hair done. It also could be something like, maybe fitness or whatever it may be. But I just think staying true to yourself is really that key of like, oh, you either have it or you don't. We all have it. We all have something.
What's the transformation going to be with this product? And sometimes it's not obvious. You have to, as a salesperson, and especially when you're communicating through the screen, when you can't really sort of read the vibe of the person, right? You can't see in their eyes that they don't get it, and then you'll re-explain. You just have to assume that you're starting kind of from scratch because you're speaking one to many, and everybody's got different motivations. So transformation could be an obvious transformation. Okay, here's your before picture, here's your after picture, whether it's weight loss or makeup, no makeup, or wrinkles, no wrinkles, or yellow teeth, white teeth, right? Whatever the deal is. Sometimes the transformation is something that's not optical, it's not something you can see. So, is your life changing because now you have more time and now you've got more time with your kids? So, you really have to get creative, don't you, Angie, when you're anticipating what the many, 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 many motivations amongst your incredibly diverse audience globally will be.
Absolutely, because you're speaking, essentially to millions of people. And so, I'm always thinking of like myself. I'm a pretty big skeptic, quite honestly, when it comes to stuff. I mean, obviously, I choose my products that way because I'm always like, send me the product. I have to use it. I have to try it. I'm a huge skeptic of products and brand, all kinds of things. So, I always think that like I get the skepticism, right? Because sometimes the consumer's thinking like, okay, this is way too good to be true. Or is this really going to work for me? Maybe I can relate in this way, maybe not so much this way. Don't I always tell people, don't over deliver either, because you don't want to be promising things to, your consumer that you necessarily can't stand behind, because then now you're losing trust. Now the next time you're on, they're saying, okay, wait a minute, you said that was going to whiten my teeth by 5 shades and it doesn't. um, you know, you're kind of setting yourself up. So I always think long game, don't think short game. Do your research, study, get prepared as much as you possibly can, whether you're selling clothing, whether you're selling electronics, whatever it is that you may be selling. Um, just really, really educate yourself on the product. Don't over promise anything,
Right.
because that aspect right there, like you said, you're speaking to millions of people. It might work for this person, might not work for this person, but at least give them a general idea of this is what you can expect.
If you
What's
do all
that?
the things. Well, because
Yes.
we're assuming that people are following everything to the T. And so you can only express what the expected results might be. But I think ultimately, when I sort of unpack everything that you said and also what I know to be true as somebody who I believe authentically also presents products on the screen, not everything can possibly be for everyone. Not every
Right.
product can be your personal favorite. And the minute you start watering down things with those very easy phrases, this is my favorite. Oh,
Right.
everybody loves this. It becomes watered down. And so you want to be very, I believe, Angie, intentional when you say something to realize what the overall impact and how that message that you're communicating is being absorbed by somebody, whether it's a value proposition, whether it is a result that is typical or not typical, whether you are prepared to give up the sale if this is not the right product for you. If you are
Yes.
selling your silken hair removal device, you'll specifically say, listen, it would be easy for you to say this works for everyone and sell, thousands more. But the reality is, if you say that, A, you're not being truthful, you're just trying to make the sale. B, returns happen. And one of the brilliant things about live stream shopping and TV home shopping is there are historically less returns of products than traditional e-commerce, right? Sight unseen, because you have that trustworthy advocacy. And that's why I always encourage brands as they're evolving, especially in small business, right? Because not everyone can appear on a big, TV home shopping channel, and not every brand should. They don't have the inventory.
Right.
But historically, conversions are higher than traditional e-commerce, right? We're looking at 10 times higher, 30% more, and upwards of 40% less returns than traditional e-com for the very reason that you and I are talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really building the trust is so essential and so key. And not only for longevity of whatever products that you are selling, but longevity of your own self in your industry, right? Because if you don't build trust with your consumer, I mean, they're going to eventually stop believing you and stop buying from you. I would definitely say don't try to like continually sugarcoat it for the sale, because you know what? If you stay genuine, you stay honest, you stay true, and you let those people that it's meant to be for, let it be for them, you actually will end up with higher sales anyway in the long run. So the sales will come. I would never stress over like the sales part of it. You're going to have the highs and lows, but I think that the integrity and the honesty that you give to your customer, absolutely 1000%, is so essential.
Now with more and more traditional media going away from earned media and moving to paid media, which is essentially sponsored content, which by the way is synonymous with kind of a commercial,
Right.
on your own owned channels, social media, websites, you can do like what we're doing every single day when we're on camera selling products, Angie. It's an amazing space right now for especially small businesses.
you have this space now that we didn't have, obviously, way back then, 20 years ago, to be able to have the opportunity to kind of step into that arena. And whether it's your own brand, whether it's something you've created, invented, a small business you're trying to get started, or if you're selling for other brands, I would always say too, like, do your outreach, because there's a lot of brands out there, even big brands that I work with, such as Revlon and Wetbrush and Silken, and they're always doing a lot of these kind of affiliate programs, but not just the traditional affiliate program. They're doing these programs where they're like, hey, if you want to sell this and you can get commissionable rates and selling just from your own, iPhone, or whatever, it's such a great opportunity to kind of move into that space. Or if you're selling for other brands, I would always say too, like, do your outreach, because there's a lot of brands out there, even big brands that I work with, such as Revlon and Wetbrush and Silken, and they're always doing a lot of these kind of affiliate programs, but not just the traditional affiliate program. They're doing these programs where they're like, hey, if you want to sell this and you can get commissionable rates and selling just from your own, iPhone, or whatever, it's such a great opportunity to kind of move into that space. There's so many other avenues, that people can really kind of dabble in and get a feel for it and see if they really, if it's for them.
And you want to develop your talent and then start putting yourself out there and creating content and going live is one of the best boot
Yeah.
camps that you can do. Now, if you have the ability to be trained, or if you are somebody that wants to find information, obviously there's information out there. You can also go to live selling school for information about that. But honestly, the best advice I always give, Angie, is tape yourself, watch yourself. How do you
Yeah.
feel about the person you see on that screen? Would you buy from that person? And keep practicing. I don't know about you. I mean, you and I have been in the industry right around the same amount of time. I don't watch the entirety of my shows, but I do watch key elements of every single presentation that I do. How was my open? Was it strong? Was it solid? That moment that I thought I was kind of funny, or I thought I did a really great call to action, was that just in my head? That applause? Or was it kind of dull and dry, you know? And at the end of the
Right.
day, being live is a different talent, Angie. There are so many creators out there. I know there's reels and TikToks and all of that stuff is edited and filtered faces and all this, but there is no better training for being nimble and to prove how much research you've done than going live.
I personally would rather be live than do a recording or a script. I find, like, now, because I worked in live so long, um, working in script, I mean, I'll get it, but I feel like it's more mess ups, right? It's kind of like trickery of the mind. It's like when you're going live, like, you're just getting it right out of the gate. Like, you got to just go. There's no like pause, stop, back up, rewind, edit, nothing, right? But when you are doing the scripted, it's almost like, there's room for error, therefore you error. So really, it's like anything, just the repetition, get yourself comfortable, continue to just keep going live as much as you can, or if you record yourself, go back and watch it, look for things that you could have done differently. I would say, honestly, I feel like just being as genuine as you can be. Nobody wants perfect. Nobody wants perfect, right? Because then now they're looking at it and going, okay, now I'm like, they're thinking they're not even good because they watched you and now it was perfect. Why? Because it was edited, you had a filter, blah, 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 all the things that we can do now. I think there's just, something really magical about just being naturally you and presenting as naturally you. Your people will find you. The people that gravitate towards you and that want to shop with you and want to purchase from you will find you, because they're going to feel that connectiveness. I mean, it's an energy, right? At the end of the day. So, and there's going to be people that don't connect with you, and you've got to be okay with that. And I think that's really important for people to understand. Like, you have to be okay with it. Just like in this lifetime, you're going to have people that don't like you. Okay, so what, right? Um, find your people, find your niche, find what you're passionate about, and kind of stick with that realm of what you are selling. Because if you try to do it any other way, it's just clearly going to come across as inauthentic. And that's, really going to be a hinder to you. It really is. It's not going to move you forward. It's going to be what holds you back.
And it's gonna be the thing that constantly feels like a chore. Then
Yes.
it feels like work and not like a passion. You are passionate, you are wonderful. If people want to be in touch and connected with you, how can they do that, Angie?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, you can always reach me on any of my social handles as Angie Lee on TV. You can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, on all the same handle. Yeah, just reach out, DM me if you guys have any questions or any like tips or anything. You can always tune in. I typically will put up schedules of shows if you want to watch some live presentations. I'm mainly on HSN here in the United States. And then for anybody else globally, of course, TSC in Canada. That's probably my second biggest home. I love going there so much. And then, I also do QVC in the United Kingdom and TVSN in Australia. So all over the globe, just keep growing and growing. And I love it because I love travel too, even though I don't sell travel. I was a travel agent at one time. So that just goes to show you. But yeah, just, reach out to me. I love connecting with people and I love helping you in any way that I possibly can.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you, Dawn. It's so great to see you.